Good morning, everyone. Yes, good morning. 23rd June 2022. Let's see which are the important articles. Look at the first page. Earthquake kills over 1000 in East Afghanistan. Okay, so the particular province name is Paktika province, adjoining Pakistan border in Afghanistan. Okay, the location, we'll see the map here, and as we are, let's say, have witnessed last year or this year prelims examination that so many map based questions are being asked, the locations, the provinces or regions which are in news for different reasons. So we'll cover everything that is in news, let's say, especially in the Middle East region and West Asian region. So names of the province are very important for our prelims examination. Okay, on bottom side, 4 new corals recorded from Indian waters. So which are these corals? There are different types of corals mentioned. Zooxanthellae corals. These 4 new types are of this new type of corals, and what are the characteristics of these corals that are mentioned here from environment section. We will find out. These corals are found in Andaman and Nicobar Islands, and they are deep water corals, not the shallow water corals. Yes. Now moving on, come to page number 5 on bottom side. Okay, so protest against the move to shift proposed heritage park in Manipur. So the article talks about the proposed heritage park near the Kaibul Lamjao National Park in Manipur. This Kaibul Lamjao National Park is located in Loktak Lake in Manipur. Loktak Lake is very famous, and it is the last refuge, natural refuge for Sangai deer or blow antler deer, which is critically endangered species. Okay, so that's why it will cover. Already UPSC has asked question on this brow antler deer or Loktak Lake, but there can be again such reference given to lakes and different states, match the following aspects and all. Okay, so Loktak Lake is in Manipur, and details will look into from prelims perspective. Okay, fine. Now on page number 7 directly, the important article we will discuss today is towards a single low tax regime. Okay, so this Sunday's ED lecture, if you had followed this editorial discussion lecture, so there we had talked about that GST council verdict, and in general we are talking about the challenges in GST regime. So one of the challenge we talked about is at present there are different slabs of GST. There is need of rationalizing different tax slabs into 1 or 2 taxes, and so that there is more clarity and there is no, let's say, litigation regarding such GST tax rates in different parts of the country. So with that context, this article is written by G.R. Gopinath, the founder of Air Deccan. इनके ऊपर एक बायोपिक भी बनी हुई है जो काफ़ी फेमस हुई है साउथ इंडिया में, सूर्या ने जो एक्टिंग की है. Okay, so yes, the article talks about specific GST reforms for rationalizing these tax slab. Okay, so GS3 paper will cover this part, economy part. Okay, fine. So on page number 8 there is one article, understanding bird strikes and aviation safety. Now this complete article is, let's say, written with the context recently SpiceJet Boeing in Patna Delhi sector with 185 passengers was in the climb out phase, and after takeoff, during which the aircraft climbed to predetermined cruising altitude, it suffered a bird hit in its left engine. ठीक है, so fortunately that the landing of the flight was done safely, but how the bird strike and aviation safety is relevant, that aspect is mentioned here, although it is not directly relevant to our examination. So if you want to have the general knowledge, general awareness about these things, you can yourself read this article. Okay, although there is less possibility that UPSC will ask the question, and And you can see that there is one diagram in that article. The engine and wings are the most affected areas in case of bird strike. ठीक है, इंजन 21% लिखा हुआ है एंड विंग्स 19% लिखा हुआ है, बाकी जगह पे ज़्यादा डैमेज नहीं होता है. ओके फाइन, मूविंग ऑन. See on page number 11 bottom side, the golden era of Santal tribe in India now, says the community leaders. Why this article is written? With the context that the NDA nominated one of its leader Draupadi Murmu for election to the President of India. So there is possibility that she is going to be the first tribal person to become the President of India. Okay, so with that context this article is written. Santal tribal community, some specific information is mentioned about the cultural aspect, the historical aspect also. Santal rebellion of 1855, it is important for our prelims examination as well as mains examination. History aspect. Okay, now moving on. See on page number 12, Prime Minister to attend G7 summit in Germany. Okay, so on 26 and 27 June this G7 meeting will happen and there will be some decisions taken against Russia. So we know that G7 is led by US. So we may expect that some decisions related to sanctions on Russia may be taken here. With that context, you should know that it is important for India, this development. We will see the outcome when this summit will happen. Australia says LAC assault was a warning. So Deputy Prime Minister of Australia is visiting India. So he had given this statement. It is vital that China commits to resolving this LAC dispute through dialogue. Then some aspects related to India-Australia relations you should be knowing, having follow up here, that Australian Deputy Prime Minister visited India. Okay. Now on page number 13 bottom side, Israel uncovers remains of mosque, and this mosque is dated back more than 1200 years old, and this is found in Negev desert region of Israel. This Negev desert is located on the southern side with the boundary with Egypt. We will see the mapping part. Again I am telling you the regions, the provinces of Middle East. This year they asked which region? Levant region. तो यही Levant region है जो Israel, Jordan और जो Eastern Mediterranean Sea का coast है वहाँ पर. Right, so that region, every time UPSC asks mapping question from this. Earlier they asked Golan Heights. This year they asked about Levant region. So Negev desert, match the following type of question can be asked. Deserts and location in countries. So you keep you need to remember this aspect also. Geography mapping part. Okay, so let us discuss now these articles in detail. First one, towards a single low tax regime. See, this article is written with the context that at present there are total 5 slabs for GST. Okay, so GST was introduced with 101 Constitutional Amendment Act, and this introduced article 279A and 246A of in the Indian Constitution, providing for establishment of GST Council. And at present there are 5 slabs under which different goods are distributed for the taxation purpose: 0%, 5%, 12%, 18% and 28%. Now this is good initiative in terms of taxation reforms. Why? Earlier there were so many indirect taxes, and since both at center and states, it was a big barrier to free trade and economic growth and was cesspool of corruption. Okay, and this GST reform has overcome this aspect. It has created a national market for goods and services. It has removed the barriers. It has reduced the chances of corruption because it is transparent, it is online. So the compliance has increased. Overall GST collections has also increased over the period of time. Now, GST is still complicated tax regime with different slabs. The problems with GST, and this is the major problem, 5 tax slabs are there, and this makes it a complicated tax regime in the world. There are different countries like Australia or Canada, they are implementing GST, but they do not have these many different tax slabs. Also, it is not easy to comprehend or comply with and is open to interpretation, harassment and avoidable litigation also. So, you should know the problems with GST, and let us analyze this issue of having different slabs. First thing we should know that imposing high GST in some areas does not make sense. The article, the writer is giving the example of 5-star hotel. Okay, although the government consider this as a luxury service, and we can say that it is taxed at 28% or more than 18% we can say. But the writer is saying that taxing more such kind of hotel services basically is not good for economic growth and employment generation. Why? Because these hotels are already, working for economic growth. They are having different kinds of, let's say, employment in terms of the service in the hotel, or different chefs and waiters, and the different, let's say, employees are there in the hotel, and it is contributing to economic growth also because they are buying all these articles like linens and soaps and cosmetics. So they are buying from the other people, of course the local entrepreneurs, or we can say businesses maybe, and this is contributing to overall economic growth. So it is, although looks like luxury service, but it is having some connections with the downstream areas in the economy. Okay, so that's why you can give other examples also, like for example the automobile industry. Okay, so automobile industry, within automobile industry also different cars are there, basic cars and luxury cars, but this is, we can say, a kind of chain. Okay, the raw material that is supplied for this automobile sector, it is from MSME sector. Some of that is coming from MSME sector, which is focusing on more and more employment, we can say. So we cannot tax such kind of goods at the higher tax rates. Also, by taxing them higher, we are, let's say, keeping these goods and services out of reach of poor people, or those, let's say, we can call them as the middle class in the society. So instead of that, government should ensure that the differences between rich poor should reduce. There should be upward mobility for the poor, and for that purpose these goods and services should be, within that range, so that the middle class people, poor people can have access to these goods and services. So for example, high taxes on air conditioners or air conditioned restaurants, chocolates, luxury cars create an economic ripple effect downstream. They are connected to the downstream, let's say, areas of economy. So the ripple effect will be there, क्योंकि वो पास ऑन करेगा ना, सारा जो भी इसका हाई कॉस्ट होगा तो वो पास ऑन करेगा नीचे की तरफ भी. Okay, so then the items exempted from this GST: petrol, diesel, aviation, turbine. At present, basically there is excise duty, central excise duty on this, and we can say there is VAT by the states, aviation, turbine fuel, diesel and petrol. So more than 50% of, we can say, the cost of fuel goes to taxes, together state and center. This is one of the highest in the world, one of the highest in the world. So this is also we can say problematic. This should come under GST regime. This is also pending reform. So ultimately the writer is proposing way forward, the philosophy of KISS, keep it simple and keep it simple stupid. This is very famous philosophy in the business sector. Why? Because all these goods which are produced, these goods needs to have a simple design. When the design is complicated, then its spare parts, then repairing, maintenance becomes costly affair. It is not, let's say, it requires skilled personnel, it requires different kinds of services, and that's why its cost is high. So to keep the cost low, we need to keep the design and everything simple. This philosophy was basically first started in aviation sector, and then it spread into other sector also. Keep it simple stupid. This should be applied to, we can say, the taxation system also. We need to simplify the taxation system so that more and more people comply with that taxation regime. Tax compliance increases, and we can say that the tax base broadens, and overall let's say tax revenue is increasing. Okay, so tax to GDP ratio is increased because of such kind of reforms. So ultimately we can say that there should be only two categories of tax or slabs: goods eligible for zero tax and goods that will fall under a single rate that can be 10% or 12%. Basically, when Mr. Arun Jaitley introduced this GST reform at that time in 2017-18, he had, let's say, said that in future there should be one or a maximum two such tax slabs. There will be rationalization of tax slab, but this is still pending GST reform. We can expect question on specific topic. Last 2 years there was a consequent question in 2019 and 2020 on GST. Okay. Discuss the need of single low tax regime instead of GST with multiple tax slabs. Such straightforward question can be asked here in your examination. Protest against move to shift proposed heritage park in Manipur. Okay, this proposed heritage park is near this Kaibul Lamjao National Park in Manipur, and this let's say there is proposal by the government to shift this heritage park away from the Manipur. The people are saying that such kind of heritage park near the Kaibul Lamjao National Park would attract the tourist, and this will boost the local economy. तो इसके लिए ये न्यूज़ में है. Now about this Loktak Lake and the Sangai deer and this Kaibul Lamjao National Park in one place itself, from environment perspective, yes, it is the lake located in Moirang in Manipur, India. Then Loktak Lake is the largest freshwater lake in northeastern India and is famous for its fumdis, the heterogeneous mass of vegetation, soil, organic matter at various stages of decomposition floating over the water. Fumdis, remember this. And these fumdis are basically the habitat for the Sangai deer. Okay, so Sangai deer, the state animal and critically endangered animal of Manipur. It is also called as Manipur brow-antlered deer, and it is one of the 3 species of Eld's deer or Thamin. Fine. So this Kaibul Lamjao National Park is the last refuge, natural refuge, and it is located on one of the fumdis in the Loktak Lake. It is the only floating national park in the world, Kaibul Lamjao. This was designed as a wetland of international, or designated as the wetland of international importance in 1990 under Ramsar Convention. So it is Ramsar site also. Yes.
So what is fumdi?
फुमडीज आर बेसिकली द ऑर्गेनिक मासेस. जो डेड वेजिटेशन होता है ना, वो कंप्लीटली डिकम्पोज नहीं हुआ रहता है, तो वो क्या होता है, वाटर पे फ्लोट होता रहता है. ओके, एंड दैट इज ऑन वेरी लार्ज स्केल. तो वो क्या हुआ है, एज गुड एज लैंड दिखाई देता है, वो फ्लोटिंग लैंड ऑन द वाटर. सो दैट इज कॉल्ड एज फुमडीज. 4 new coral recorded from Indian waters. This is from Andaman and Nicobar Island waters. We know that corals are there in India especially Lakshadweep Islands. They are atolls, and the fringing and barrier reef, they are found here in Andaman and Nicobar. The scientists have recorded 4 species of corals for the first time from Indian waters. These new species are of azooxanthellate corals. They were found in, let's say, Andaman and Nicobar Islands. The azooxanthellate corals are group of corals that do not contain zooxanthellae and derive nourishment not from the sun but from capturing different forms of planktons. When we learn about corals, we learn that it is the symbiotic relations between the coral polyps and zooxanthellae. This is true for shallow water corals, because zooxanthellae are the algae. They produce the food through photosynthesis from the sunlight in the shallow waters, and they also provide color to the coral reefs. So here you should know that these azooxanthellates are the representatives of deep sea water corals, okay, from the depths of 200 meters to 1000 meter. But zooxanthellates corals are restricted to shallow waters. So this difference you should know for prelims examination. Then azooxanthellate corals are group of hard corals, and 4 new species recorded are not only solitary but have highly compressed skeletal structure. Coral reefs are one of the most productive ecosystems in the oceans. Hard corals are the prime and intrinsic part of the coral reef ecosystem. Fine. So this is important for your prelims examination. Israel uncovers remains of mosque. Now this is second such mosque uncovered from the ancient times in Israel. This gives links to how the transition of religion happened from Christianity to Islam. Israeli archaeologists unveiled a rare ancient mosque in the country's south that the antiquities officials said sheds light on region's transition from Christianity to Islam. The remains of the mosque, believed to be more than 1200 years old, were discovered during the works to build a new neighborhood in the Bedouin city of Rahat, the Israel Antiquities Authority said. The mosque is located in Negev desert, contains square rooms and wall facing the direction of Mecca, with the half circle niche in that wall pointing to the south. This unique architecture features shows that the building was used as the mosque. Okay, then the 3 years ago authority unearthed another mosque nearby from the same era of 7th to 8th century AD, calling 2 Islamic places worship among the earliest known worldwide. Okay, so how Islam developed in that region, how the region moved from Christianity to Islam, this is, let's say, providing some link there. But you should know the location, Negev desert. Let's see the location of Negev desert. See, this is the Mediterranean Sea and the coastal state nation of, we can say, Israel. And Israel and Jordan is there. The border between Israel and Jordan, we have Dead Sea. Now the southern part of Israel is having this Negev desert, this complete region, and these are the Negev highlands. It is having border with Egypt on the southern side. Okay, so remember this aspect. This is very important from mapping part. Negev desert is located in Israel. Now earthquake kills over 1000 in East Afghanistan. The location is in Paktika province. This is the map of Afghanistan. This year they asked question related to the bordering nations to the Afghanistan. That part will not be repeated now again. Specifically, if they ask questions related to different provinces within the let's say Afghanistan, because we know that it was in news in last year for quite a long time. This time it is in news because of earthquake of Richter scale magnitude 6.1 or around 6, we can say. Paktika is the province with border with Pakistan. On this side there is Pakistan. So Paktika is basically the province with having border. Then you can see the different important provinces of Afghanistan. This is Kandahar. If you remember, let's say the flight which was kidnapped, we can say that the people were kidnapped from India. This flight was under that was hijacked, we can say specifically, and for the demand for release of different terrorists from India. तो ये Kandahar province है. Then Helmand is there. Herat province is on this side. Badakhshan province जो है नॉर्थ ईस्टर्न साइड में होता है. दिस इज द नैरो कॉरिडोर कॉल्ड एज वाखन कॉरिडोर ऑफ अफगानिस्तान, एंड दिस स्मॉल बॉर्डर इज विद चाइना. चाइना का बॉर्डर जो है ये यहाँ पे आता है. ये वाखन कॉरिडोर है. रिमेंबर द नेम हियर, वाखन कॉरिडोर. फाइन. Golden era of Santhal tribe in India now, says community leaders. Okay, so why they are saying golden era? Because yes, recently the National Democratic Alliance, the ruling party alliance, we can say, nominated one of its leader, Draupadi Murmu, for election to the highest constitutional post, that is President of India. With chances bright for Ms. Murmu to become first tribal person to become the president, the community members appears to be on cloud 9. The Santhal is the third largest scheduled tribe community in the country after Gond and Bhil. The Santhal population is mostly distributed in 3 states, Odisha, Jharkhand and West Bengal. In Odisha, Santals are found in Keonjhar and Balasore other than Mayurbhanj district. Ms. Murmu's hometown or district is Mayurbhanj district. Okay, the word Santhal is derived from 2 words. Sant means calm and peaceful, and Ala means man. So peaceful or calm man, Santhal. So they in the past they had led the nomadic life, but slowly they settled down in Chota Nagpur plateau region of Jharkhand. Towards the end of 18th century, they migrated to Santhal Parganas in Bihar and then to Odisha. Their literacy rate is very high compared to that of other tribes in Odisha. Now this is very important. Santhal speaks Santhali, which has its own script called as Olchiki. Remember this, Olchiki. It was invented by Pandit Raghunath Murmu. Santhali is the Olchiki script, has been included in the 8th schedule of Indian Constitution, जहाँ पे 22 languages है as a scheduled languages. Okay. Then the other important people representing the Santhal tribe, Hemant Soren, the Santhal is the Chief Minister of Jharkhand at present. Girish Chandra Murmu was the first LG, Lieutenant Governor of Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, and now he is the Comptroller and Auditor General of India, CAG. Mayurbhanj MP Bishweshwar Tudu, a Santhal, is the Union Minister of State for Tribal Affairs and Jal Shakti. You should know the background here, history of Santhal rebellion. On 30th June of 1855, 2 Santhal brothers, Sidhu and Kanu Murmu, this was asked recently in prelims examination by UPSC. Sindhu and Kanu Murmu are related to which of the following? Santhal rebellion, one of the option. Organized 10,000 Santals and proclaimed rebellion against the British. Why? Because the Britishers introduced the different kinds of land reforms, like let's say zamindari system in that region. So that resulted into exploitation of Santals by the landlords in that region. So उसके अगेंस्ट इन्होंने क्या किया है, ब्रिटिशर्स के अगेंस्ट यहाँ पे रिबेलियन किया है. द ट्राइबल्स टुक एन ओथ टू ड्राइव अवे फ्रॉम द ब्रिटिश फ्रॉम देयर होमलैंड. मुर्मू ब्रदर्स, सिस्टर्स फूलो एंड झानो also played active part in the rebellion. Remember the names, UPSC asking such names in prelims examination, and the time period just before the rebellion or revolt of 1857, we can say. Now, what should be answer to this question? Yes, so you have to find the correct statement. Loktak Lake is located in Nagaland. This is incorrect. It is located in Manipur. So first is incorrect. Simply you can eliminate from this information also. तो एलिमिनेशन में भी कुछ क्वेश्चंस सॉल्व हो रहे हैं. इस बार हमने जब प्रीलिम एनालिसिस किया है तब उससे हमें समझ में आया है. Yes, the famous, it is famous for fumdies or floating organic matter. This is correct. Last natural refuge of Sangai deer. This is correct. So 2 and 3 is the correct answer, B. Okay? Yes. Any question?
Sir, I wanted to ask something.
हाँ.
Sir, the first editorial, the first article in AD was about GST concept. In that one, so 2 words are written as component of freight and element of freight. Sir, can you please distinguish between them a bit?
Component of?
Freight, F-R-E-I-G-H-T.
Yes, yes. Component of freight and element of freight, no?
Yes.
So freight, actually that was in news because of the case that was going on. Okay, Mohit Minerals, they had, let's say, case in the Gujarat High Court. Gujarat High Court gave in favor of the Mohit Minerals. Component is the fixed part of that freight. Element can change according to the imports, no? ठीक है, तो जो एलिमेंट होगा वो फ्लेक्सिबल होगा, चेंज होता रहेगा. कंपोनेंट है वो फिक्स्ड है, वो फ्रेट का जो भी.
Component means is like a vessel.
No, not vessel. Basically, whenever a let's say particular freight is moving on a vessel, ठीक है. फ्रेट मतलब क्या होता है? जो कंटेनर होता है ना,
माल सर, माल.
हाँ, तो वो उसका जो कोई एक कंपोनेंट होगा तो वो फिक्स्ड होगा, तो वो यूज किया जाता है ना कंपोनेंट, जो गुड्स और सर्विस, गुड्स को मूव करने के लिए. तो उस पर बार बार टैक्सेशन नहीं लगाया जा सकता है ना, डबल टैक्सेशन हो जाएगा. उस पर ऑलरेडी गवर्नमेंट जो है वो कस्टम ड्यूटी लगाता है, ठीक है. तो उस पर अगर IGST उस पर भी लगाएगा तो वो डबल टैक्सेशन होगा. IGST जो है वो सिर्फ और सिर्फ किस पे लगाना चाहिए? जो इम्पोर्टेड गुड्स है, ठीक है, तो उसी पे लगाना चाहिए. और हम बोल सकते हैं कि स्पेसिफिकली जो कंपोनेंट्स है उस पे कस्टम ड्यूटी लग ही रहा है, वो डबल टैक्सेशन वाला इश्यू हो रहा है वहां पर.
Okay, sir.
Yes, fine. Okay, then stop. Let us stop then.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Welcome to Lukmaan IAS. Study General Studies with Lukmaan IAS for building comprehensive knowledge. GS paper 2 and 4 will be taken by S. Ansari and other papers will be covered by renowned faculties. Live classes are as effective as offline classes. The classes are highly interactive in nature. Your doubts and queries will be addressed and there will be dictation of notes. In the last 10 years, Lukmaan IAS has set up a niche in the field of UPSC guidance.